Hello, I'm Rick Hertless, founder of His Gospel Power. Thank you for joining with our program as we look into the book of Hebrews. We're in Hebrews chapter 9, and we're looking at all of the events of the world today, the last days, everything through the lens of Hebrews at this point. We're looking at how we are to live for Christ in these last days. Which side of the aisle do you fall on? Does it matter? Does it matter what you think as long as you go to church? What does all that matter? Well, we're going to talk about that today, and we've been talking about it, of course, throughout the history of this program. But the time to play church is over. Now, really, there never should have been a time, but these days, this is the time it's over. The time to play church is over. It's getting real, and it's going to get even more real before it's all said and done. Before we get into Hebrews chapter 9, please go to hisgospelpower.org, click on the donate button or the contact us button. And thank you to those who do support our ministry through your prayers and financial gifts. All right, let's look at Hebrews 9:19. I think that it puts a point on what we were talking about yesterday. Let's just read it and we'll just see. For when Moses has spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of calves and goats with water, scarlet wool, and hyssop, sprinkled both the book itself and all the people, saying, "This is the blood of the covenant which God has commanded you." Then likewise he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry. According to the law, almost all things were purified with blood. Without shedding of blood, there is no remission of sins. Okay. I don't think we can, we've got to look, this is the law that he's talking about. Now, we always discount the law because we're New Testament church and we're people of grace and just go down the list. But God still gave us the law to obey the law.
And really, what was their law? The book he's talking about here
is the Bible.
Well, of their day.
Right.
So when Moses wrote this, it was the first 5 books. Because that's what they had.
Exactly. But it was still given by God.
Oh, yeah. No, I fully agree.
And my point is, at this point, it sounds pretty political. You've got the president, Moses, because he was the leader of the people. They didn't have a king yet. He was appointed by God to be the leader of the people who imposed the laws and made sure that they were upheld.
And
so to me, does that not sound political? All of you out there that are saying separation of church and state, this and that and the other, and we can't do this and that and the other. This is, God, correct me if I'm wrong here, this is political.
Well,
now, it's also spiritual, but it's political.
I think this is really interesting. What is said here, he took the vessels used in worship, the tent, and their Bible of the day, which was the first 5 books, the Torah, and he used the sacrificial blood and covered them in it. Today, if you took a Bible and, sacrificial system aside, if you poured blood on it in the manner that he did, in reverence, showing that this is ordained by God, you'd have people today calling you apostate. But
in some ways you would be. You don't need to pour the blood of anything.
I'm saying, but that the visual reference of it, they'd be like, "What are you doing? You're desecrating the Bible."
You could pour oil on it, however.
Right, yeah. So what he did,
for symbolism's sake.
This is really a representation of what Jesus did by his blood sacrifice.
Yes.
This is what they did of the day. They used the blood of a sacrificed animal as a covering for their sins. He used it to cover the ornaments that were used in worship.
Exactly. So it's the blood sacrifice has been used since the beginning. The blood, it takes something has to be sacrificed. We've already started this yesterday. Something has to be sacrificed to solidify the promise. Now, the promise of freedom in this country was solidified by the sacrifice of our sons, daughters, fathers, grandfathers for this country. That's the blood sacrifice for this country.
Yeah.
That solidified the freedom. And now that is being removed is desecrating that sacrifice. That, it is.
And it was interesting. I mentioned yesterday about how pastors condemned, and conservative news commentators, they condemned what happened at the Capitol, but they were fine with the Civil War and the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
They didn't say, well, instead of fighting against the King of England, we all should have just sat on the border and prayed as their ships came in to slaughter them all. Well, then there would have been nobody left in the nation to found the nation if they would have all been slaughtered and killed. And so you got to walk that fine line of, yes, we pray, but sometimes if God didn't know there was going to be war, he wouldn't have given the archangel swords.
Mel Gibson had a quote in the Patriot movie, and I've always thought about that quote. And his quote was, "Why would I want to I want to trade one tyrant 3,000 miles away for 3,000 tyrants 1 mile away?"
Yeah, that was.
And he
great.
said, and make no mistake, that a government elected by the people can become just as tyrannical as the king. Well, we are seeing that in real time right now. We are seeing that. I mean, we're hearing our officials telling us that they're telegraphing it already, and they're also telling it. And so many people are saying, oh, well, AOC probably didn't even say that. She said she wants to make Auschwitz look like a picnic after they're in power. Kamala said, no stone will be unturned until all the Trump supporters are rounded up. Oh, well, she probably didn't say that. Well, let me tell you something. What exactly is happening right before our eyes? They are basically shutting everything Trump down right now. He is still president of these United States.
You know what the Department of State did? The Department of State website.
Yes, they took him off as president.
They erased his biography from the Department of State website. Him and Mike Pence. They're gone. It's like they never existed.
Right. And so, look, you are fooling yourself. You're not fooling me. And there's 74 million of us out here. I don't think you're fooling. And like I've said before, I think a lot more than that. But 74 million out here that are not being fooled. And we know exactly what their plan is. And their plan is, look, we are in the world agenda. There's an Agenda 2021. And I guess I should have looked that up and brought it before us. There's an Agenda 21 is what it was called, Agenda 21, which was for 2021. That's this year, folks. And their biggest part of that plan was the Great Reset. And the ones standing in their way of the Great Reset, which basically the Great Reset is all the currency's gone. And you will have no property. You will own nothing. And be happy about it. Okay? You will not own your clothes. You will not own your cars. You will not own your houses. You will not own anything. The government will own everything. And you'll be happy about it. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not happy about that. Of course, a lot of my clothes they can have anyway, but that's a different thing. You're going to be happy about it because they're going to take every single thing, but in the name of community, communism, we are now going to share everything equally. Yeah, right, that's a joke. And so all of those things that are supposed to happen in 21 can't be done in 21 if Trump is in the way. That's what all of this is about. It is all about the Antichrist system wanting to rise in 21.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about.
And there's so many, I know what you're talking, the Agenda 21. There was one thing that caught my eye, and I thought about this scripturally. How is it that the government could instantly seize all private property, make it, communistic immediately? Because, the people would revolt. Well, I looked it up in the Constitution. The Constitution just sets the guidelines for how people can be taxed. There is no limit. If Biden is inaugurated tomorrow, they will have the House, the Senate, and the White House. There is nothing stopping them from immediately passing a 100% tax on everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, and part of the Agenda 21 was a carbon tax.
Yeah.
And so if you're breathing, you get taxed for breathing.
Well, yeah, I thought about it from my point of view, and yours too. Homeowners, if the government said 100% tax tomorrow, do I have $100,000 in the bank account to buy my house back from the government?
No.
Of course not. That's the reason I have a loan on the house. But they could do that. So who's going to be left with the property, the wealth? It's going to be the elite that already have the money and the wealth, and those that make the rules, not the average citizen. So
well, basically, it goes to the caste system again.
Exactly.
It's the nobles and the noblemans and the kings and all of that kind of thing. That's the ones. That's the ones that will
still
get the wealth.
Right.
I mean, basically, you are now in debt. And I mean, they say there's not going to be any more debt. Okay, no debt. All the debt's going to be gone, but you get everything from the government.
Right.
So you're indebted. Your life is indebted to the government.
Yeah, it'll basically be, okay, you live in this house. You can keep the house, but now you're our slave within that house.
Right.
Take the vaccine. Take the job we tell you. Do what we tell you. Have the vehicle we tell you. That's how it's going to be.
Make no mistake, communism is that way already in China. I mean, communism is once you have
given in.
Well, I mean, but once you have, let's say that you're, obviously they're not going to allow them to be any radio hosts, so you can forget that. But I mean, if you're a mechanic, let's say you're a mechanic, and this kicks in. Well, all right, congratulations. Now you're a mechanic for the rest of your life. This is your vocation.
Yeah.
And not only that, you need to train your children to be mechanics, because now they are mechanics for the rest of their life. And not only that, they need to train their children's children, because now this is the vocation of your family now, is that you are mechanics. That's the deal. And you can't, well, yeah, but I don't want to be a mechanic. My grandson, he wants to play football, and my other one, he wants to be an accountant. Well, I don't care. No, from now on, this is your vocation. That's communism. That's where everybody thinks that's what they're all talking about, that, well, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's not wonderful.
If you want your kids to play sports, ask the communist countries how well they enjoy having their kids play sports. Because what happens if they lose?
Yeah, well, that's right. That's true. That's not a good thing. But number one, number two, you bet you have got, if you're not the top of the heap, you're not going to, I mean, if your child may be very good, he's not the top of the heap, he's not going to be playing sports. He's going to be doing whatever they've told him they've got to do, which is whatever the vocation is that they've picked for you. That's what we're talking about here. Now, all right, so let's try to get back on topic here. To me, that is topic. But we're mixing church and state is what we're doing here. Well, so did Moses.
And Abraham.
And Abraham, well, and everybody, and Jesus too, for that matter.
Yeah. Which we have passages
so many people say they're not. You had a passage you wanted to share with
John. I do.
John 8, I believe it was.
Yeah, in John 8, because we were talking yesterday about how you can't, I guess you could be a Democrat, but you can't vote Democrat and call yourself a Christian, because the two don't mix. And I heard it from pulpits.
Well, wait a minute. How can you be one and not vote one?
Well, I guess you could have the voter card but never use it.
Yeah, but
theoretically,
how would you be a Christian then if you're still believing basically what they believe?
Maybe you left it in your drawer and you just.
No,
I know what you're saying,
yeah.
but I mean, yeah. Okay, so if you or because I heard it this weekend by multiple pastors. They said my fellow brother Democrats or my fellow sister Democrats that voted. Oh, so if they voted,
know exactly how they voted,
right? I don't know any
Democrat.
Yeah, I don't know any Democrats
so
that
voted for. Let me see. Okay, so my fellow Christian brothers and sisters that agree with abortion, homosexuality, transgenderism, no prayer. All right, y'all brothers out there, those brothers.
Here's what Jesus, not a preacher, says about that. John 8, starting in verse 31. So Jesus said to the Jews who had believed him, "If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples." I could stop there. I mean,
that's good enough.
Yeah, it is. "And will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Okay, okay. They answered him, "We are offspring of Abraham and have never been enslaved to anyone. How is it that you say you will become free?" Jesus answered them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin. The slave does not remain in the house forever. The Son remains forever. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. I know that you are offspring of Abraham, yet you seek to kill me because my word finds no place in you. I speak of what I have seen with my father, and you do what you have heard from your father." He separated them there.
Absolutely.
They answered him, "Abraham is our father." Jesus said to them, "If you were Abraham's children, you would be doing the works Abraham did. But now you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth that I heard from God. This is not what Abraham did. You are doing the works of your father." They said to him, "We were not born of sexual immorality. We have one Father, even God." Jesus said to them, "If God were your Father, you would love me, for I came from God and I am here. I came not of my own accord, but he sent me. Why do you not understand what I say? It is because you cannot bear to hear my word. You are of your father the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. But because I tell you the truth, you do not believe me. Which one of you convicts me of sin? If I tell you the truth, why do you not believe me? Whoever is of God hears the words of God. The reason why you do not hear them is that you are not of God."
Well, we're going to leave it with that. I mean, you can't say it any better than what the scripture says. I mean, you cannot live one way and call yourself a Christian. You can't do it. It's not possible. That you cannot separate church and state. You can't. Well, thanks for joining with us. Until next time, I pray you receive his gospel power today.
He died for you, he died for me. From our sin, he set us free. He loved us so, his life he gave. So if we ask, we can be saved. He's calling you, he's calling you. Jesus Christ is calling you. If he's touched your heart and soul, let Jesus make you whole. Come kneel with me and we will pray that all your sin be washed away. Don't be afraid, don't be ashamed. Just come and praise his holy name. He's calling you, he's calling you. Jesus make you whole. If you feel him touching you, confess your sin.